What's up, Mortgage Coach community? Dave Savage, and I am doing my first interview with Scott Groves. What's up, Scott?
What's up, Dave? How's it going, man?
It's going good, man. It was great meeting you in person at Mastermind last week.
Yeah, thanks for breakfast. It was really enlightening seeing how you run the team over there at Mortgage Coach.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, I've heard a lot about you, so I knew you by reputation. Put it this way, guys. We had breakfast together. I think we had lunch together. It's like my new buddy. It was just surprising, like hearing your backstory with Todd Duncan and how you grew up as an originator. I thought, hey, this guy's a natural for the Mortgage Coach community. So I wanted to interview you. I've got some questions, but let's just start with tell everybody a little bit about who you are, what you do on a day-to-day, and we'll just see where it goes.
Yeah, great. So I've got the same origin story every other loan officer has. It's been in this in a while. I was at WAMU. Many of you were at Countrywide. So I was at WAMU for 9 years, was there when the Titanic started to sink. Really did nothing for 9 years other than refinances, option arm loans, and HELOCs. And effectively 9 years into the business, had to learn a whole new business. Like, what are these tax returns things? What are these FHA? What is mortgage insurance? For a while I was on Mortgage Coach, and now I'm back on Mortgage Coach, and using just every tool in the industry to try to teach myself how to do a full doc loan. So that's the origin story. I was broke just like everybody else in 2009, sleep on the couch, interject whatever sad story you want to right here that you've heard from mortgage folks before. But then fast forward to 2010, 2011, I started working in-house at some real estate offices. First, it was a Prudential and then a Keller Williams, and got lucky enough at Prospect Mortgage to team up with Todd Duncan about 8 years ago when he was going through some transitional phase and became the in-house coach for Prospect Mortgage. So I got to just pick his brain and spend a lot of time learning all of his principles, be an advisor, high trust interview, hire ahead of demand. And I've been super blessed that every year from about 2012 to 2016, doubled my business, doubled my income, which was very cool. And then 2 years ago decided hey, instead of making more and more money, which maybe I should have done, I don't know. I decided I wanted to add some more value and coach. And so I wrote a book. I opened a coaching program. I partnered with a great business partner named Justin Bale, and Justin gives me the flexibility to coach about a third of my time and still be a producing loan officer and producing branch manager 2/3 of my time, and try to sneak in some time with the family. So that's origin story to right now, running mortgage business, coaching our team here at the branch. Our branch is in Southern California. We'll do about 250 million as a branch. About half of that will be myself and Justin's production. And it's just a real busy life right now.
Well, that's killing it. So 250 branch, 125, 130 in team production, and you're coaching and mentoring other loan officers, and you're a husband and father. So getting after it. I love that.
Yeah, father of three. Luckily, I have a soulmate in my wife and a soulmate in my business partner, and they let me focus on some of the coaching stuff.
Well, you must be a good dude if you have people like that helping you get after it. What's the name of the book? Remind everybody.
The book is this. I brought a copy. Shameless plug. Lead Generate, 61 Days to Double Your Pay. So it's just a chapter is like 1 to 3 pages a day. Read it, implement it or don't. I always tell people out of 61 days, you'll probably roll your eyes at 30 of them. You'll say, oh, that's pretty interesting at 10 of them. And, 10 to 20 of them will be relevant to help you grow your business and increase your lead flow, grow a bigger pipeline.
Yeah, and let's face it, at the end of the day, loan officers need to obsess over two things. One, lead generation, and one of those channels needs to be getting to the borrower first. Which could be past customers, could be affinity partners, could be consumer direct marketing, and then conversion. You need to kill it with conversion. So let's dive right into takeaways from Mastermind. You were there, you spoke at the event, so you led, but you also were at a lot of sessions, and I'm sure you had some takeaways. Anything come to mind that you think would be valuable?
Yeah, the biggest takeaway that I got was the dichotomy between Matt Ishbia, which I believe is his name, the head of UWM.
Ishbia.
Yeah, Matt Ishbia. and Darren Hardy, right? So two very successful people in their own right. And Darren Hardy got up on day one and said, hey, like Michelangelo sculpting David, you got to take everything away and take everything away and take everything away and get to a point where you delegate out everything and just do the money-making activities. You know, lead generate, meet with realtors, produce mortgage coach, even though he didn't know he was talking about mortgage coach, produce mortgage coach type presentations for the consumer. He's like, if you can do those three money-making activities, slough off everything else, make somebody else do it, pay somebody else to do it. So I was like, okay, that kind of makes sense. And then Matt Ishbia gets up the next day and says, you got to be knee deep in the weeds on every single process. When I wasn't happy about how the phones were being transferred, I sat down 3 days straight with the receptionist and rebuilt how UWM transfers phone calls. And so, you know, two diametrically opposed ways to run your business. And I think what was beautiful about it is when I spoke on day 3, I kind of just told everybody like, hey, just ask yourself the question, what works for me? And then follow that, right? Because there's some people that are going to present in one way and not be able to present in the other way. And I think there's so many ways to skin this cat. You mentioned going consumer direct, lead generating, going down the realtor route, really becoming the advisor and using tools like what you have and what, you know, Todd Duncan has and what Barry Habib has, and using all of these tools. Just find what works for you and then double down on those strengths. And you might be a Darren Hardy guy who wants to get rid of everything, offload it, and just do money-making activities. Cool, set that up and do it. You might be a Matt Ishbia who's like, I need to be knee-deep in all the weeds and I'll fix the problems. And great, be that dude. So it was interesting because at first I was confused and I went out that night to dinner and a drink with a couple people and we talked it through. We're like, yeah, it just comes down to doubling down on your strengths and being the best version of you can be. So that was a big takeaway for me. There's no right answer. There's just the right answer for you.
Yeah, no doubt. There's a lot of ways to win in life. Most people that win in life, they figure out them, they do them, and they do them consistently. And I do think both of them have high standards. You know, like a takeaway I had just knowing Ishbia's backstory as a D1 athlete. Darren Hardy's a personal friend. I've known him for over 20 years. These guys have high standards. These guys have been implementing with intentionality for decades. And they're hard workers that grind it out. So, I mean, there were some common threads, but they definitely, you know, had some different philosophies on delegation, micromanagement, or as Jocko would say, decentralized command. You know, Jocko Willink, by the way, quoting Jocko. So You were a prospect guy. I thought you might know Jocko back in the day.
I do. I had the pleasure of working with Jocko and Todd Duncan at the same time. So there was a lot of alpha male sales energy in that Sherman Oaks Prospect Mortgage area for a couple years. But you know what's beautiful about what you just said, Dave, is that it doesn't really matter. I'm kind of naturally a libertarian. I just believe in this, you know, bootstrap theology that has become the American dream. It doesn't matter whether you're Darren Hardy or Jocko or Dave Savage or Matt Ishbia. Like, every one of them has their own style and their own flavor. But every one of them just works their ass off. Like, it just really proves to me that if you have, you know, slightly above average intelligence and you can look at somebody's financial picture and then you couple that with working your ass off, like, you're going to succeed in this business, which is very encouraging, because I think there's a lot of businesses where there's a little bit more luck involved than we would like to admit. And it's cool that we all found an industry where hard work is rewarded.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I do believe it. I'd love to get your take on this. I think, you know, the art between your personality and the art of who you are can get you pretty damn far. But I do believe, you know, if we want the next decade to be better than the last decade, if you're a referral-based local mortgage professional, it's like the art and science of selling. You know, that you need to leverage technology. There are skills that you need to upgrade. You know, again, I'm Mr. Mortgage Coach. I believe advice is the best sales strategy. And I do think, like, if you want to win the race, it's like having the wind at your back and it's like running downhill. If you're not a great advisor, hey, you can probably still win it. You're just going to run uphill with the wind at your face. What's your take on tech? Because I know you coach loan officers, and, you know, what are some of your philosophies on, you know, tech and the skills that today's originator, the modern mortgage professional, needs to develop? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the relationship builders who are out in the street every day, whining and dining, and then I've seen the people that are, frankly, have the personality of this pen, but they sit down and they're adamant pros, and they're more like an accountant. They bring their brown bag to the office, and they sit at their desk and they do business that way. But I think at the end of the day, the ones that have the staying power, whether you're the relationship, golf with your realtors and wine and dine, and you're out there in the street going to open houses, whether you're that guy or whether you're the accountant, the ones that have longevity are the ones that are really that implement, one or two or three key tech tools, obviously Mortgage Coach being one of them, and they master them and they integrate it into their workflow. So, we've all seen a lot of loan officers that would do really well for a year or 2 years or maybe 3 years. But the guys who I look up to who have been doing it for 10, 15, 20, 25 years, they have their process, their systems, they're an advisor, they're working their past book of business. And instead of, replacing relationships just one after another, they're stacking relationships. So when they get a realtor or a past client or a CPA, they don't lose that person because they have the technology, they have the tools, they have the follow-up systems in place. And really that's been the evolution of Justin and I's business over the last couple of years, because I've always used, this call tracker, and maybe I'm a sociopath, or I was used to getting rejected by women or something. I have no problem cold calling 50 new realtors a week and finding new sources of business. And Justin, my partner, was more about like, hey man, I've got my 10 or 15 and I go really deep with them. So we've been working the last couple of years of like, hey, how do we use technology with the follow-up and the professional presentation skills to stack the relationship? So let's start with your 15, Justin. And instead of me just replacing and reinventing the wheel every couple of years with brand new referral sources, let's stack them so we get to 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 great referral sources plus a book of 2,000 closed loans. And now we're funding, $120, $130 million a year without back-breaking effort. It's kind of happening. We work hard, but we're not shoveling shit anymore.
Yeah, no doubt. And again, when I think of consumer direct, I'm not here to advocate, social media marketing. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that. To me, it's just your past customer database. At a minimum, if you're a referral-based local mortgage professional, crush it with your past customer database. That means you got to use your CRM. And if you do believe in advice, you should be using a mortgage coach. And we're seeing more and more loan officers that are uber high touch, uber personal, just leverage that type of stuff. So let's transition. This is your first interview in the mortgage coach community. Welcome back to the mortgage coach community. I have a feeling we'll be telling your mortgage coach success story here for a while. But knowing this is the first time, you got more times to come back as you've got new success to share. What are some of the things that you think are just most important right now? And let's put this in context that it's June 2019. Rates have recently dropped. Purchase business is a long-term play. I interviewed Shayla Gifford. I don't know if you know Shayla. I mean, legendary loan officer, and leader in the industry. I had Josh Metal on the call, and I was interviewing her on her perfect pre-approval experience. But, when we were prepping before the call, she's like, refis are crazy right now. In fact, she's actually planning to have her first month where she does 100 loans. I don't remember if it's June or July. I just interviewed her Friday. Check it out. Anybody who's watching this, link down below. If you want to hear a perfect process that generates 100 loans in a month, at least that's the plan. But I want to put it in context, knowing that purchase is important, refis are here. What advice do you have to the mortgage coach community right now? What advice are you giving to the people you coach?
Yeah, I mean, quite frankly, the loan officers that we coach and the people in our branch that we manage and are part of our team, we're just telling them to cut bait earlier. That's really what we're telling them. To the point where up front, we're telling a lot of the people that we talk to, like, look, there's going to be a better rate out there. If you want the lowest rate in the industry, go to www. I won't say the name. Maybe they'll close, maybe they won't. Most of the realtors around here in our area will laugh at the pre-approval letter, but they are the best rate online. That's where you need to go. I feel like my internet connection got a little unstable there.
No,
Sorry, I felt like my internet connection got a little bit.
You're good. It's been perfect on my side.
Good. Okay. So we're just cutting bait with people earlier and saying, look, I get it. We'll be there as a backup, but we won't be there as a second option. And so, depending on the personality of the client I'm talking to, whether it's a male or a female, I'll tell them like, hey man, it's cool. You want to go to the prom with somebody else? That's fine. If that doesn't work out, maybe we'll go on a date after graduation. What I'm not going to do is I'm not going to go to the prom with you and then let you shop around all night to see if there's a better looking guy that might take you home and then, dump me at the front of the stage. And we're just having that conversation up front very honestly with clients. We're letting them know the advisory role that we're in. We're letting them know how we're going to structure the mortgage as part of their bigger financial plan. We're letting them know up front, hey, you probably qualify with Bank of America. And the day that you walk in, because we're in California, to deliver your good faith deposit, somebody at some bank is going to offer you a better rate. If that's the most important thing for you, then God bless you. We appreciate the phone call. Go with them. And then if something doesn't work out, let us know. We'll be here as a backup. But we all know intrinsically those clients who we're going to lose once the rubber meets the road and all they care about is rate. Just have the guts to cut bait earlier and then go work on 2 other deals. And I know that that's really easy to say and that newer loan officers
makes total sense.
So other loan officers might be rolling their eyes.
Watching this right now.
What's that?
By the way, I did have an internet issue there.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah. So you were saying, sorry.
Oh, I did have an internet issue, but I think it was on me. By the way, can you see my screen real quick?
I can.
So a couple resources I'm going to put for you guys. This interview I did, I think it was either Monday or Tuesday last week. And I would just say really good example of a mortgage professional that's high touch, high tech. And she talked about what she's doing with the rate grinder, how she's dealing with that. And the way she put it is 15% of the population is just, do-it-yourselfer, needs the lowest rate. How do I balance that? How do I manage that? She even talked about, hey, 5% want to pay more. They don't feel like they're not getting what they want if it's not more. They're a premium buyer. And so it's like, hey, how do we get to that other 20%? What can we say to get to it? Because there's going to be 15%. And no doubt, you want to identify what that percentage is. The interview I mentioned earlier with Shayla Gifford, check that out, guys. This interview was on Friday. Haven't even promoted. It's been 3 days, almost 700 views. So 2 homework assignments. So let's do this. Let's wrap this up because we're gonna be interviewing more. But put yourself in the shoes. You're a coach, and I know you have some processes that you give people that, hey, they just went to Mastermind, and you've got some ways that you help people plan. Walk us through that. Put your coaching hat on. And talk to the mortgage coach community that's, they got all kinds of stuff going on. Some went to Mastermind. Some were at my last 2 calls. They got a lot of stuff going on. We got refis, we got purchases. What advice do you have and what process do you put people through to get focused?
Yeah, thank you. Number one piece of advice is we've got all kinds of people that want to go out and buy Facebook ads and Instagram funnels and all kinds of craziness. I'm like, look, if you're not calling 10 referral sources a day, and those could be realtors, those could be CPAs, those could be friends, those could be past clients. If you're not calling 10 people a day, how dare you go spend money and waste hard-earned money until you're talking to at least 10 people a day? I've got people in our coaching clients that are ready to sign up for $5,000 website build outs and Instagram this and Facebook funnels that. They haven't even got a referral in 5 years from their wife. And so I'm like, look, man, if your wife at work can't even recommend you for business, don't you dare go spend money on that. So that's number one. Number 2, if you are going to spend money on something, there's amazing low-cost, high-value tools out there like Mortgage Coach. What are you guys up to? $1,000 a year, $90 a month or something? Like absolute no-brainer. But if you're going to spend money, sit down with one of those tabletop calendars that every title rep tries to drop off at your office every year and write out a launch plan. here's the 30-day calendar launch plan of how I'm going to integrate Mortgage Coach into my business, or this new CRM into my business, or this new ad strategy into my business. And if you can't bring yourself to sit down and go over the launch plan, don't spend the money, because you're not going to integrate it into your business. Like if you can't even write out the launch plan. So that's the thought number 2. And then thought number 3, if anybody wants to email me at Scott@Consolidated Coaching, Scott@Consolidated Coaching. I have this goal setting worksheet. This is probably a whole nother training we'll talk about some other time. But the bottom line is most goal setting worksheets are BS, because you fill it out on January 2nd, it goes on the bottom drawer, or it gets saved on your desktop, and you never look at it till the end of the year, and you say, I met some of my goals, or I didn't meet any of my goals. This goal planning worksheet is like, hey, what's the big 3 personal goals? What are the big 3 professional goals? And then how do you drill that down to 1 year, 1 month, 1 week, 1 day, and then right now? And the example that I like to use, we're sitting here right past lunch. I'm trying to get to under 199 pounds, healthy, good cholesterol. I've got the 1 year goal, the 1 month goal, but how I bring it into something satisfying and connective tissue right now to the coaching is, right now I'm hungry. I'm going to go have a green shake instead of a pizza. So I'll fill out this goal setting worksheet once a month, sometimes twice a month, because it refocuses me on the right now. And 130 million this year is a really big number. It's too hard for human beings to conceptualize. But if I break it down monthly, weekly, daily, what do I need to do right now? Well, right now, I've got to go make my last 3 calls of the day. It's so much easier to boil it down to the here and now versus some big nebulous goal that you don't look at till December. And that would be kind of my last coaching point. Just shoot me an email at Scott@Consolidated Coaching. I'll send this over to you as a free resource. And I think people will start using it and they'll like it, because
I love that. Hey, what is the best way for people to connect with you? Website, social media, email? How can the Mortgage Coach community, connect with you, learn by you?
Scott@Consolidated Coaching is my email. No fancy spelling, Consolidated Coaching. And we've got a pretty robust Facebook community, although I'm very jealous of your size there, Dave. I'm jealous of how big your Facebook community is. Consolidated Coaching, loan officers on Facebook. We have a pretty good group there that exchange a lot of ideas.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to being more engaged in your group. You're welcome to be part of our group. What I'm most proud about in our group is just the engagement and the quality of the people. And I know, just from the conversation we had, you've got a lot of quality people in your group also. So cool on that. So Mortgage Coach community, this will not be the last time I interview this man. If you have questions for Scott, put comments below. If you got a takeaway from the conversation we just had, give us a like, like it, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on Facebook, share it with your mortgage friends. Scott, I am looking forward to you and your team becoming a Mortgage Coach success story again. So let me know what I can do to help you. And bro, I really enjoyed the conversation. I'm looking forward to the next one.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Dave. Have a good one, man.
Yeah, you too, brother. Take it easy.